Hello, everybody. So this panel, it's about something that it's our life every day because it's technology. And of course, we have this in our business. So I'm going to start asking Renata, uh, what kind of problem could inhibit that you and your business can adapt a technology, can have a new ideas about technology in your business?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. I'm happy to have this discussion because when we think about innovation, we usually think about technology. And actually, the process of innovation is a human process. It's about generating ideas, it's about validating ideas, it's about validating solutions, find ways to transit and to find the right way to implement this innovation, which is a problem in Brazil. So what is the most important thing that should happen so we can have projects implemented is the knowledge of the processes and how we implement this using the right methodologies, adapted to the right kind of innovation, but also what kind of skills people has to do it. So I'm talking about soft skills. I'm talking about entrepreneurship or corporative entrepreneurship. So this is very important to make innovation happen. It's some kind of consensus in the literature. But we are not still developing these skills systematically inside the organizations. And this is a very important challenge that we have to face right now to give innovation the pace it needs to actually transform organizations in time to the digital transformation.
And we know that's have an idea, it's the easy part, but it's very hard to implement, to have success. So the majority of the ideas, it fails. It happens. So Roberto, how can we avoid the fail and focus on success? What's the challenges?
I'd like to first thank you and the organization for the invitation. I'm very glad to be here. So answering your question, I believe that to begin with, we need to know that innovation fails, right? So many projects, many new businesses, it's natural that they fail. And this is something that is inherent to innovation. But I believe that what we can do to lower the probability of failure, it's first have a very clear and defined objective and roadmap on how to get there, right? So the second part is to have an alignment with the leadership of the company, with all the stakeholders, because there are many obstacles, many natural obstacles to innovation. So if you don't have the company working and the leadership especially working for the innovation, it's very hard to make it happen. And third, I believe it's very important to do it continuously and getting one step ahead. So you have to have clear milestones and ideally achieve them one by one. So instead of having like a very big objective, 3 years in the horizon, you should have smaller objectives and start gaining success after success. This will help you get to the full objective in the end.
That's nice. Roberto, so you mentioned alignment and leadership. So Chicão, what's the role of the leadership in this situation and how to keep the innovation and your purpose in the same path?
So hi, everyone. Great to see you here again in Rio and Websummit. Great to be here on stage with you guys. And talking a little bit about what we have been implementing in the City Hall and how we did it. I mean, I think, first of all, we have 3 pillars to work when you want to change something or innovate, especially when we're talking about public administration. You think about big corporations, but you can imagine the difficulties that we have when we have so many bureaucrats, bureaucracies, and different kinds of controls when we're talking about maybe the bigger corporation that we have, that is the government. So we work with 3 pillars. First of all is clear and simple communication. I mean, everyone knowing exactly what you want, exactly what you mean, because especially when we talk in Portuguese, sometimes words can have 2 meanings. And someone is talking A, the other one is understanding B, and everyone is doing, I mean, in a chaotic way, and no one is understanding. So a simple communication and making sure everyone is doing exactly what we're talking and what we mean to do. Second, I think, ask yourself why. I mean, why does this process exist? Why are we doing what we're doing? Why should we keeping this routine, this habit? I mean, why? Especially when you're talking about laws, when you're talking about processes, norms, they usually are created along the way and no one questions it again. So for 5, 10, 20 years, people keep doing the same thing because that exists and no one starts to, hey, so we're living in a different world. So ask yourself why. And last, room for mistake. I mean, when you're talking about public administration, we're always in public scrutiny. So we're always here to people to come on us and say, look, you have to do that, you have to do this. I mean, we have a lot of challenges and social challenges. So the room for mistake is pretty narrow. So that's why it makes hard to innovate when you're in the public sector. But we need to start talking about the culture of innovation in the public sector to ask the judiciary board or the control people to say, look, if we don't make mistakes, honest mistakes, when you're not being negligent, but you actually try to make it work, but for some reason it didn't, then we start seeing things going on and we start seeing things coming out of paper and we have a higher dose of risk because we have to respond for it.
Renata, how does it work for you in this path? Like, how can you really maintain, because it's like, you are a leadership, so you have your thoughts, but how to pass these thoughts and keep the team thinking in the same path that you were thinking and align the purpose and technology and innovation?
Okay, first I want to add some spice to this discussion, if I might. In Brazil, we have a problem which is to develop more transformational or disruptive technology. This is a national problem and this is also an organization problem. For example, we have data from Pintech, which is a research by IBGE, that says that 70% of the Brazilian companies innovate, but only 12% of these companies has some innovative characteristic that is some new innovative characteristics for our market, and only 2% has some contribution for the global market. So 2% of disruptive innovation, I would say. So as leaders, we should develop a business strategy that is fitted to this digitalized world, that truly guides the innovation that we need to transform the company. So this is the beginning, because if people don't feel comfortable with the strategy, if they don't believe the strategy, if they don't think that the strategy is coherent, né? They won't behave as we want. They won't engage with the projects. They won't engage with the plan.
Yeah, so this involves also a culture. So, Chicão, let's start with you. How can we sustain the culture of innovation and thinking that your business is growing, is changing all the time, and you have to keep all the team in the same page that you are, and sometimes it doesn't work the way that we expect, and we have some people that resist to innovation, for example. How do you do when you face this kind of challenge?
I think for us to have a culture of something that we want to make, I mean, people have to believe. If people are not believing and they're not in your vision or don't want to be part of it, I think they shouldn't be there in the first place. So select your team, of course, sharing your vision and even asking if they agree and what else they can add to your vision to be their vision. Because if it's their vision, not only yours, I think this helps a lot for you to have a culture of people working together with a common goal. Even if you have different layers of leadership, or even if you're on a very verticalized or stratified organization and governments, for example, as the public administration is, when people believe they're doing good about what they do every day and they share the vision with you, and we're talking here about public servants, for example, that they cannot be dismissed if they don't agree with you. So the politician, most of the time in these roles, have to really give this clear message, but also to negotiate a little bit with the team and say, look, this is the vision, we're going this way, but what do you have to add? And I think this makes things like people knowing that they have the solutions. And most of the time, the team is even better than the leader to give the solutions. Maybe they're even better technically to give some solution to the one that is giving the mission. So sharing this, listening, adopting part of the team's view, and having this openness, I think, helps a lot to create this culture of people working for the same goal and in working the same page.
So you were saying that listening, it's very important. And it's not that common that some leadership like to hear your team or like to listen new ideas because they think, no, you are not agreeing with me. And I really think that we have to work as a team to make to go to the same page and have success. So Roberto, how do you work with your team with this challenging about you have to share your thoughts, you have to listen your team, how it works?
So I believe, and some of my team is here, so you can ask them later if I'm telling
you can say if it's true.
So I believe that the role of the leader is first to communicate very clearly the vision. As Chicão was saying, I think communication is very important, and especially if you have like a big project, it's very important to have a simple and clear communication, right? So we have examples in history like put the man on the moon, that was Kennedy's mission, or 50 years in 5, that was Kubitschek's mission. So I think that communicating very clearly is important. Showing the way, not exactly how to do, but what we want to achieve. I think this is important. But I believe that you have to let the team figure out how to do it and support your team on their road there. So this is, I mean, my style of leadership. I'm not saying it's the only one or even if it's the right one, but the way I believe is that you have to show and communicate clearly the objective, and then support the team on how to get there and make sure that everyone is aligned, as I mentioned before, and everyone knows where we're going. I think that's what we should do as leaders.
So I am a very creative person and I need time. I need free time to think, so I need freedom. But I have worked in places that this is not a thing. You have to work. You have to work 9 hours. You have to do this and this and very straight. But in this business, using innovative solutions, you need time to think. You need freedom to be creative. How it work in your path, Renata? Let's start with Renata, but I think that this is a good question because it's a different way to think how you developed your company. So I would like to hear also Chicão and Roberto, but start with Renata.
I don't think creativity has to fight with processes, for example. Brazil is one of the most creative countries of the world. I believe we are in the 4th place, but we are not innovative. We are in the 6th place. It's terrible. position. And why I'm saying that? Because innovation needs creativity and processes. So a creative person without this process might not transform these ideas into innovation. So we need to balance how to do it. So we have to recognize in each step of the innovation process when is the moment for the creativity and guide this creativity. We differentiate in the entrepreneurship skills two kinds of creativity, the innovative creativity and the creativity in general. The innovative creativity has a goal, you know? It has a clear goal in which the person will round this goal, trying to find a solution, trying to build something. So even in innovation process, the creativity has a guidance. It's not like something, I'm going to think whatever I want for as long as I want. It's not like that.
I mean, I think when you're going to work somewhere or an organization that you choose, probably you have to do your homework as well, right? I mean, if you're working on some place or somewhere that you don't feel you belong, or that the culture is different than yours, or the vision is different than yours, so should I give all this power to the one that is hiring me, or should I have the power to choose as well? Because, I mean, at least for me, every time I'm going to work somewhere, I look for the people. I don't look for the organization. I look for the people. Sometimes you have a nice brand, a nice company, a profitable company, but do you fit with the people who have some vision for that organization that you think is nice? Are you going only for money, or are you also looking for the people that you're working with and understanding that if you share values, if you share vision, and if you actually agree with what the company is doing? So I think when we're choosing the place that we're going to work, or someone is choosing us, we also have the responsibility for us, for our lives, to make the right questions and understand. And if you go to that place and was nice at the beginning, but then it didn't fit anymore because something changed, the company was sold for someone or something else, should you stay there, or should you start looking to move somewhere else, or even opening your own company? I think we should be the owners of our own choices. I know it's harder for some people because we have to pay our bills, we have to pay the rent, we have to pay what we have to pay in our lives. So it's a difficult choice. It's not easy. I'm not making it easy. But sometimes it's even harder to stay in some place that is crushing you and destroying you on who you are, and is destroying your own creativity and your own personality, just because maybe you have to push yourself to look for something else and be okay with it. So I think it's a two-way. Of course, the organization has the responsibility to be good and to make a good governance and leadership, but we are the owners of our lives. I think we could also be looking to ourselves and our decisions to understand if we fit as well.
So, Roberto, your turn.
Well, I don't think I have a lot to add. I agree with what they said, and I think that you have to look at the role that you're in and the space that you have to be creative. If you are the type of person who needs time to process and to become creative. But as Renata said, I believe that innovation is a mixture of creativity and process, so you have to have both sides.
So we have a few minutes, but you all are working in this path for some time. I will not say a long time because we are all very young, but I would like that you give the last words about the big challenge that you have faced and how to think the future in this path. How is going to be innovation?
Great question. Well, I've been working with innovation for the last 20 years, developing organizations and ecosystems. And for me, it's amazing how the behavior and humans are keeping out of the equation when organizations are planning their future. This can't happen anymore. And I think the organizations that are going to perform well We'll develop systematic processes to develop people, to help people to appropriate from new technologies in the right moment, in the right level of knowledge. For example, not everyone has to know everything about artificial intelligence. Some teams should know only how to use it and others how to develop. And we have to organize things to help people to grow with the organizations and transform the organizations as we are asking them to do it.
Chicão, your last words.
I think the words here is to adapt. I mean, if you're adaptable, if you're open to learn and to adapt and to keep learning, I think you're probably, as an organization or individual, you're going to probably keep innovating. I mean, if we just stay still, just waiting for things to happen. I think Renata mentioned AI, for example. I think is a big theme here at Websummit and other major events. So what is AI going to do? If we don't know, let's go ahead and try to figure out before other people do, because when it arrives, I mean, it will be too late. So to keep learning, to keep open, to adapt constantly asking you why you do what you do, constantly communicating in a simple way, and having margin for error. And I think here is the organizations that really need to work well, because people have to feel that they are safe to make these mistakes. I think we're going to be fine. But of course, governments and organizations will have to do their part to, help people overcome and to understand what's happening before things happen and it's too late for them to adapt.
Roberto, as a journalist, I'm very curious about your answer. How your best challenges, and I say best because you can learn a lot in media.
I believe that in media and innovation in general, everybody thinks about change, right? When you talk about innovation, transformation, you think about change. But I love the phrase that Jeff Bezos says, that the most important part is what doesn't change, right? So, I mean, for example, in terms of media, we changed the technology, there's a change in the platforms, there's a change in the devices, but everybody wants to look and to watch good content, right? So people, when started like mobile and Facebook, Instagram, etc., everybody was talking about doing short videos, right? Then came Netflix, and people stay like 2 hours binge watching shows. So I think that we have to look at the things that do not change. And the second thing, the time is running up. So the second thing is to not mix up the core values of the company and what makes the company make money. So the most studied case in innovation and failure is Kodak, right? The camera company, because they mixed up what their value was, which was to register like historic moments and happy moments, with the way they made money, which was selling films, right? And then came Instagram and took over their business. So I think these are the two most important things. Think about what doesn't change, and don't mix up what is your core purpose and what you make money on.
So thank you. Thank you, Renata. Thank you, Chicão. Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, everyone.